Hi everyone, thanks for watching another Replica Air Guns revolver review. And today we're looking at the Umarex Smith Wesson 327 TRR8 CO2 BB revolver. And this is the full review. I'll be doing my tabletop and field test, so the shooting portion of this review all in one here. So if all you want to see is this gun shooting, then you'll probably want to fast forward to about midway through this video. Now, I want to thank Umarex for supplying the Smith Wesson 327 TRR8 for review. They also gave me some BBs here, and I did use these BBs for the shooting portion of the test. So let's quickly talk about some of the key specifications. This revolver is an almost all metal design with a couple exceptions. It has about a 6-inch barrel, slightly longer. It uses standard 12-gram CO2 cartridges and shoots 4.5mm steel BBs. Now this gun has a 6-round revolver cylinder with brass loadable shells, and it weighs about 2.3 pounds dry. The trigger and hammer on this gun is double action and single action, and the claim feet per second is 400 FPS. Now this is a replica of the Smith Wesson 327 TRR8 revolver. Well, sort of. It's kind of an elaboration on the base TRR8, and when I do a comparison to my Umarex Smith Wesson R8, I'll kind of point out some of the differences you'll find when comparing it to the real steel version. Now this revolver is made by Umarex in Taiwan, and it comes in a box like this here. A nice box. You'll see here some information: metal frame, easy load, 6 rounds, double, single action, fiber optic sights, steel BBs, and 12 grams CO2. You can see here it says velocity 400 feet per second. The 327 TRR8 also comes with a full manual. We'll just skip through here real quick. Oh, look at that. Lots of information here for you. It also comes with a speed loader. Now the shells are in the gun. You'd put the shells in here and then load them into the gun. Now at this point I want to do a bit of a comparison to both the Dan Wesson 6-inch silver and the Umarex Smith Wesson R8. So first off, let's look at the Dan Wesson here. And you'll notice these guns are, at least the back half or the frame area is almost identical. The same way that they load. I'll show you that when I show you the TRR8, how it loads. Same kind of shells. And you'll notice on the Dan Wesson shells, there you go, it says Dan Wesson, whereas the Smith Wesson shells say Smith Wesson. But they're pretty close, and I'll show you that a little bit also as well down the road here. Same exact safety and ejector there. Same double and single action triggers. Almost exactly the same sights, except for the Smith & Wesson has fiber optics added to them. So basically, they're built off the same frame. Now the barrels are quite a bit different. The TRR8 has a lot more mounting surfaces all ready to go. So this is pre-installed. The top rail system is pre-installed, and this bottom one is actually built right in. So you can see that they're quite a bit different that way, the barrels. And when I compare it to the Umarex R8, this is mostly plastic. It's well built and it works quite well, but you'll notice that the back part of the frame here is a lot shorter, and this is true to the real TRR8 as well. Now if you look at the front of the barrels, they're very similar, but the barrel is shorter on the R8. This is more true to the TRR8 as well. I did a little bit of looking around and I could not find a 6-inch version of the TRR8 327. So this is more like that gun. This is really what the TRR8 looks like, a lot closer anyways. And also the R8 has an 8-shot rotary magazine, which the real 327 TRR8 would have. Now I quickly want to show you the speed loaders and the shells from the Dan Wesson and the Smith & Wesson. Now this is a Dan Wesson speed loader with a couple shells in it, and there's the Smith & Wesson right beside it. And you can see they're pretty much identical. Now getting into the shells a little bit here, you can see here one says Dan Wesson and one says Smith & Wesson, but they're essentially identical. and they work in either or gun. So if you already have a Dan Wesson revolver, you can use the same shells and speed loaders in either gun. And by the way, I haven't mentioned it, but I do have full reviews for my Dan Wesson 6-inch silver and my Umarex R8 revolvers. So I'll put some links in here now so you can check those two guns out. So at this point, we're going to do a bit of a walk around, take a look at the Smith & Wesson 327 TRR8 up and close, show some of its components and parts. Now you notice here on the left side, take a quick look, you've got your branding here, also on the grip. Now when you pull your grip back and up, you have access to your CO2. You just use this tab to screw it in. It is a plastic tab, by the way. This is your selector for safe. Pull it back, push it forward for fire, and all the way forward to open the rotary magazine. Now these bullets come out, these shells I should say, and you just load your BB in the front of them. You can load it up individually or use a speed loader. Now most of this gun is metal, including the trigger, the hammer, and most of the parts, along with the barrel, the front of the barrel. There's really not a lot of plastic except for the grips, which is sort of a rubberized, textured plastic. Alright, so let's take a look at the right side of this gun. Now right away you can see you have your warning instructions here on the barrel. You also have some more Smith & Wesson branding on your grips. You've got your caliber here, serial number F for your German market. There is a screw hole in the front here. This probably connects the barrel together. Alright, so let's take a look at the top. We have our accessory rail. It's pre-installed, which is nice. We also have our fiber optic sight in the back. Quite nice. And in the front there's a fiber optic sight as well, built in. You have your single and double action trigger, single action, double action. Quite nice. And on the bottom, again, we have another accessory rail. So there's really a lot of places you can mount hardware on this gun. Now let's take a quick look at the front. It's hard to see in there, but the barrel is recessed quite a bit, which is really something that I always like to see. It gives the gun a lot more realistic look when you have a larger diameter barrel. Now I'd say approximately an inch in, maybe as far as an inch, is the real barrel. So the barrel length has been shortened a bit. That will reduce your overall feet per second a hair, but still it's nice to have the realistic opening at the front of the gun. Okay, so at this point we're going to head outside for the field test portion of this review. Going to shoot 6 rounds through the chronograph and 6 rounds into a target to see how well this gun performs. Alright, so I've got my Umarex Smith & Wesson 327 TRR8 ready to go here. I'm going to be firing 6 rounds through the chronograph to see how close we get to the 400 feet per second claimed velocity that Umarex has stated in their specifications. And then after we do the chronograph test, we're going to head over and do the target portion and again shoot 6 rounds, but from 20 feet out in a semi-rested position on target, and see what kind of accuracy we can get. So let's get started with the chronograph portion right now. Here we go. Single action, brand new CO2 cartridge, and we're using the provided Umarex steel zinc plated BBs. 434, 433, 417, 413, dropping a little bit because it's not exactly warm here. Even though it's summertime, it's more like fall in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. My lawn is a swamp. 414, shot number 6, 407. So all shots stayed above the 400 claimed feet per second. Even in this rather dismal weather, the temperature here is probably 16 or 17, maybe 18 degrees. It's a rather cool summer day, as it has been literally all summer long so far. Alright, so let's head over to the target portion of the test. Alright, so we are all set up with my Umarex Smith & Wesson 327 TRR8. I'm going to shoot 6 rounds into this target. I'm 20 feet out in a semi-rested position. The front of the gun is rested on a sandbag and I'm kneeling in the back. But it supplies a pretty secure platform here. There is some human factor, but not much. Alright, so let's see how well we do. One more. Alright, felt good. All shots seem pretty clean. Well, there you have it. This oval, black oval here, represents 1.5 inches corner to corner or side to side, and that is about half of it. So that's about a 0.75 inch group. Very, very good. All the BBs are pretty much on top of each other, touching in some manner. So really, that is excellent. Can't really say much more. Excellent shooter. Alright, so we're going to head inside and finish off this review. Alright, so I was very pleased with the performance of the Umarex Smith Wesson 327 TRR8 revolver. Now with a BB gun being able to get a 3/4 inch group from 20 feet out with 6 shots, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Remember, this is a BB gun, it does not have a rifled barrel, and it's just shooting standard BBs. Now what you're looking at in this target is a total of 5 magazines. So the first magazine I shot rested, and then the remaining 4 magazines, so another 24 shots, total of 30 in all, but the last 24 were shot just freestanding, and most of them in double action. And you can see here, another tight group, not quite a 1.5 inch group. Some of the shots went just outside, but easily a 2 inch group, maybe even a 1 3/4 inch group. Again, very respectable. Now when it came to the velocities, all of my shots were well over the advertised 400 FPS, and again, it was not a warm day, very cool day here in Vancouver, British Columbia. It was a brand new CO2 cartridge, but still, cool day, all above 400, some of them into the 430s. Very good performance. And just like with the Dan Wesson revolvers, you can expect to easily get around 100 shots per CO2. Alright, so at this point we're going to cover the pros and the cons. There's really a lot of pros with this Umarex Smith Wesson 327. It's a revolver. Just like some other similar guns, this has actual shells which give you the feeling of loading and shooting a real revolver, or at least as close as you're ever going to get with a CO2 BB gun. The 327 TRR8 is mostly metal, has very good weight to it. Again, that makes it feel a lot more realistic. There's lots of detail in this gun, it's very well made, and the fit and finish is very good. And getting back to the power, accuracy, and shots per CO2, it scored high marks in all of the categories there. Now I really like the addition to the fiber optic sights. On darker backgrounds, that's really going to come in handy. And if you like to add accessories, like a red dot scope, or perhaps a laser or tactical light, there are lots of locations to do that on this revolver. Now there were a couple cons. I'm not a big fan of the plastic CO2 screw tabs. Now in most cases, those tabs are going to be just fine, but you do put a little bit of stress on them, and as plastics tend to age, depending on the grade of the plastic, sometimes they can become a little bit brittle. So hopefully that doesn't happen with this gun down the road. So far with my other similar guns that have plastic tabs, I haven't had any problems. Again, just like the Dan Wesson, this is a BB shooter. I've had a lot of people ask me, can you shoot pellets in these guns? No, you cannot shoot pellets, or at least not easily. I wouldn't recommend it. There's no rifled barrel. There's no benefit to shooting pellets. I guess my question is, why wouldn't this gun have been made to shoot pellets? Why would it not have a rifled barrel? And I think it wouldn't have been too difficult to load the shells from the back, have them go down through the shell and through a rifled barrel, giving you the ability to shoot pellets. Now that didn't really affect the accuracy, as we saw. The BBs shoot very true and very accurately, but still some people prefer shooting pellets. Now this last con is a little bit picky, but people looking at replicas will bring this up. The Smith & Wesson is advertised as a 327 TRR8, and the 8 standing for 8 shells, I believe, as the real 327 TRR8 has an 8-shot rotary cylinder. And as you saw, this Umarex Smith & Wesson only supports 6 shells. Alright, so overall I'm very happy with the Umarex Smith & Wesson 327 TRR8. It performed well in just about every category. It's a great looking gun. It's It's a great functioning gun. I had absolutely no problems with it whatsoever. And again, like I said, it shot hard, it shot accurately, and it's really inexpensive to shoot because it's easy on CO2. Alright, so make sure to check out my full written review for this gun, where I'll have some more photos, maybe some more information in my written article that may have been missed during this video review. Also make sure to check out the links in the description to this video, where I'll have links to the article, and also links to my website where you can buy this gun in the Replica Airgun store. Now, if you're not already a subscriber, make sure to subscribe before you start checking out other videos. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. My username is Replica Airguns. Thanks for watching another Replica Airguns video review. And again, thanks to Umarex for supplying this revolver to me. So until next time, take care and keep watching.